So our beloved progressive music, how did this actually become to be? Well, in the late 60s, rock and roll became the most popular type of music around. Bands like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and the Doors made this music popular in the mainstream media. Then bands like King Crimson, Genesis, Yes, Camel, Gentle Giant, they came out in the early 70s, and they saw rock and roll as a creation catalyst that they could just take and they could do whatever they want with. That rock and roll really had more to offer than what these bands were doing, like Led Zeppelin and The Who. So that is kind of what started prog music and prog rock back in the early 70s. That bands like Yes and Genesis and King Crimson, they all wanted to elevate rock and roll to an even higher level of creativity, basically adding Mozart and rock and roll into one, guys. And back then, this was just considered plain old rock and roll. Nobody had the words prog or progressive or anything, right? They just thought they were just another rock and roll band doing more than the others. Well, what really defines prog now is that when you take a music genre and you try to elevate that even further than what it is, doing stuff that nobody has ever done before. So I'm sorry guys, but just because you put a rhythm in 7/4 or in like 9/8 does not make you prog. Okay? Maybe at first it did, but now that everybody else, all these other metal bands and rock bands are doing 7/4 and they're doing all these crazy time signatures, that does not make you prog. Everybody else is doing it. You're not bringing anything new to the genre. Now, I'm not saying, guys, that odd time signatures and weird time signature changes are not a part of prog, because it is. But what prog is basically doing whatever you want without being bound by rules, while also elevating the music that you listen to a higher level of creativity and musicianship, okay? So say if you have a modern rock song, I don't know any modern rock bands because I don't really listen to it, but you compare that to Steven Wilson. That is insane, okay? Steven Wilson elevates that to a higher level beyond imagination. Like, it's insane, guys. Steven Wilson is an insane musician because that's what he does. He doesn't bound himself to weird time signatures and, oh, I have to play in 9/8 because I'm prog. No. What he does is he makes the music first, and that reflects off weird time signatures and awesome melodies and stuff like that, guys. So what I'm really trying to say here is, guys, I could pick up my guitar right now and I could play in 7/4 and just play one note or a couple chords, right? That isn't prog, okay? And a lot of bands make sure that they have 7/4 or 9/8 in their songs, but the song doesn't call for it, okay? Music first, signatures later, and that is how it should be, really. That's how you define good prog from bad prog. Someone puts a rhythm in 7/4 just cause, and the melody doesn't really work that well, or you have somebody who has an amazing melody and it works out in 7/4, that is how you write prog, guys. That's how you write stuff in those weird time signatures. I mean, guys, you can have, like, someone who puts a rhythm in 7/4, but that melody doesn't really work that well or it doesn't match up, but they just want it in 7/4 because they're considered prog. This isn't prog, guys. This is just some guy thinking he could do 7/4 and making some shitty melody, okay? Now, not all bands are like this. There are a lot of bands who can say, okay, I'm going to write a riff in 7/4, and it turns out being amazing. But in my opinion, what truly defines the good prog from the bad is that the music should come first always. If something doesn't call for some odd time signatures, then it shouldn't have it, guys, okay? But if somebody writes an amazing melody, say, and it ends up being in 9/8, and it's some crazy-ass melody with awesome composition, that's amazing, guys. That's the epitome of prog. That's what prog is. They're bringing a genre to a higher elevation of creativity and musicianship. Now, a great example of this, guys, is Ancestral by Steven Wilson on his newest album, Hand Cannot Erase. Now, when that metal riff comes in, and it's like, that is amazing, guys. It's definitely not in 4/4. I think it's like 6/4 or something like that. And it's based off the melody and the riff itself, that time signature. It's not like Steven Wilson just went, oh, I'm going to write this in 6/4, and I'm going to make it in 6/4. No, he probably wrote it, and it just ended up being in 6/4. And that is how good prog is written. It's all about the melody. It's all about the composition. Look at Dream Theater. Look at, like, In the Presence of Enemies Part 2, okay? That is some crazy musicianship, okay? You take the keyboardist, Jordan Rudess, I think his name is, or something like that, and then you take Petrucci. That is crazy, guys. That is insane. They're, like, who even knows what they're playing, but it's not based on the time signatures. It's based off of the melodies and the compositions And when it also comes to progressive metal, guys, a lot of bands just like go crazy. That's not really prog, in my opinion, guys, because it's more like math metal. Like, come on, like time signature after time signature change, and just like crazy solos that a lot of people aren't gonna understand. Like, that's not prog, guys. Like, it's based off of all time signatures. It's based off of just doing crazy stuff. And that is not prog. It's not really elevating. Well, it is kind of elevating. I mean, that's pretty crazy stuff, to be honest. But like, there isn't crazy melodies. There isn't an actual melody in a lot of those songs, and there isn't like actual song structure in a lot of those songs, which I believe prog should still have. It should still have a song structure, but kind of the structure that you make yourself. Now, what I'm really trying to say with this video, guys, is that it's not all about the time signatures, okay? It's about the flow of the melodies and the composition itself, and how that is elevated higher to the original genre that it came from. Say metal, prog metal is another level of creativity other than metal. That is for sure. Prog rock is a whole nother level of musicianship and creativity than just the normal rock genre. That is a given. That is for sure. So just putting rhythm in 7/4 or 9/8 does not define you as prog, because a lot of non-prog bands also do that. Okay? If you're bringing something new to the genre, like Opeth does great prog. They're metal on another level. Stuff like Dream Theater, they're all metal on another level, guys. And that is what prog should be. It's not about playing in 7/4. It's not even about playing super fast. It's like, it's just about doing what you want and not following the guidelines. And in my opinion, that is what elevates it to a higher level of creativity. You're no longer in a rock song gonna go verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, solo. It's whatever you want, and that's what it should be. In all seriousness, it's really about taking away those bound rules that that was taught to you in music school and taught to you in guitar lessons, that that you don't have to follow. You don't have to follow those in prog. You can do whatever you want in prog, and that's what elevates it to a higher level of creativity. The band, yes, listen to Close to the Edge, the whole song. That is insane. There was like no structure in that song, guys. But the musicianship is amazing, and that's what makes it a very, very good song. Now, I'm not trying to purposely alienate any of the bands that do purposely put rhythms in 7/4 or 9/8, but that's not what prog was originally started as, okay, guys? Like, King Crimson and Yes and Genesis, all they knew that they were doing was bringing a lot more than what was already offered in the rock genre, okay? They thought that there was so much more that you could do with the rock sound, and that's what they did. They elevated it to a higher level of creativity, a higher level of musicianship. Now, a lot of bands also have done that this age, but a lot of bands also don't do that, and they consider themselves prog. Well, when did that switch? When did prog switch from bringing something new and amazing to the genre to just having odd time signatures and crazy fast riffs and metal? Like, that isn't what originally prog started as, and it isn't really what it is now. It's just what people are thinking it is. I mean, really, guys, if you think of the word progressive, it means moving forward, bringing something new. Well, if you look at all these bands that are playing in 7/8 and doing all the same stuff as the other band before them, that's not prog. They're not progressing at all. They're not bringing anything new to the metal genre or the rock genre or the progressive house. I don't know, the prog anything, guys. It's got to bring something new. It's got to progress. And I mean, an example of a prog band that doesn't really do odd time signatures is Anathema. If you've ever listened to Anathema, they're great. Their newest album, 2 albums I really enjoy, Weather Systems and Distant Satellites, and some of their older stuff too is really, really good, guys. And it's really exactly what should define prog. I mean, they kind of elevate that rock kind of alternative music to a higher understanding, a higher level of creativity, guys. That's like just like Steven Wilson, okay? You listen to The Raven That Refused to Sing, and like it sounds like an album that could have been released in 73 and fucking 2 years ago. Like, it's insane, and it was released like 2 or 3 years ago, and that's amazing, guys. Like, that's Steven Wilson saying, I want to do something different. I want to kind of bring back that old classic sound, but bring in that new production sound. That's something new, guys. I mean, I've never heard anything like Luminol before. I mean, it is close to those classic prog bands, but it's so different, and it's so much different than anything today and anything back then. So to conclude this video, guys, in reality, what is progressive music? Well, it is bringing something new to that genre. It is progressing that genre to higher levels of creativity, higher levels of musicianship, higher levels of emotional understanding, okay? Like, it's not all about 7/4. It's not all about 9/8. You can have prog and 4/4. You can have simple time signatures as long as it's executed correctly and it's executed creatively and different than everybody else, then I would consider that prog. If you're actually brand new to the whole genre of progressive music and you're actually into the more rock and metal style, well, and here are a few bands that I really enjoy and I believe that a lot of you guys will enjoy as well. We got Dream Theater, King Crimson, Yes, Genesis, Opeth. If you're into like the more weird stuff, the Mars Volta is amazing, guys. Mars Volta is crazy. Who else do we got? We got like Gentle Giant is great. Tool. Tool's considered prog if you listen to Tool. Porcupine Tree, Steven Wilson. So many good bands, guys. The Pineapple Thief. There are so many good progressive bands that truly do what I believe prog is. They bring that genre to a higher level of creativity. Well, guys, I really hope that this video has leaned you towards maybe the progressive style a bit more, and if you've never really listened to prog before, maybe now you'll take that jump to go listen to, say, if you're into metal, Dream Theater, or if you're into rock, go listen to some King Crimson or something. King Crimson is great, guys. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe down below for some more awesome prog content. My next video, I'm going to be doing my first prog album review, and we'll see what that is. I'm thinking a Yes album, maybe Close to the Edge or something. I'm thinking I might do Close to the Edge now. Actually, I'm going to do Close to the Edge. Stay tuned later this week to watch that review, guys. Thanks a lot. Subscribe, like, comment, and thanks for watching.